It's been a few weeks since I did my last bit of recording for this video, and you may remember that I painted these AWS ramps up, and I used some acrylic paint and I used some kind of cheap acrylic paints, Crawford paints. I think I got them from Hobbycraft or one of those kind of places. However, as you can see, it's rather blotchy. It doesn't look fantastic. I went to reorder these resin 3D printed AWS ramps, and the place I bought them for don't seem to list them on their website anymore, which has meant that I've had to go off and pick up some of these from Pico. They do look ever so slightly different when it comes to sizing and design, as you possibly see just there. Obviously these came out in a kind of a dark grey straight away, and these are black. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on these before I can put them on the layout and then weather up the track. So my plan for doing that, well, I want to put a base coat on of a primer, which I've already purchased previously, which is, I think it was a Vallejo primer. But it looks a bit too grey to leave it that colour. I've looked at a few pictures, so I've picked up instead some Tamiya XF16, which is an aluminium colour paint. Now I'm kind of hoping that this will, if you can see it inside there, will look okay when painted onto the Pico after it's been primed. And then for the yellow, I picked up some of this from Howell's Model Shop, which is pretty local to where I am, the Rail Match. It's called I think it's a warning yellow, a BF. I think it says an 8403, and I'm hoping that that will do for the yellow part of the AWS ramps. Now I want to use an airbrush, and I've got one of those, and I'm going to have to dig it all out, and I'm hoping that once I get the garage to a suitably warm temperature that everything will flow correctly. I'm going to use the paints. I need to thin them down. I did a little bit of research and asked a few questions, and apparently you can either buy like an acrylic thinner, but many people say just use water. So I'm going to give that a shot. I bought 2 packs of these, so it gives me 8 in total, and we shall see how these all look when I give them a spray job shortly. So this is my compressor that I have got. I've inherited it kind of thing from my dad. He got it. It's really old. I may have to invest in a new one. I did have a look online. They're probably about £90 or something, relatively straightforward. I have got myself something that I've used in the past. I hope it's going to be all right. I'm going to give it a little test to make sure everything blows through okay, and then we can give it a shot at some point. So I've got this primer here that I want to spray onto this. I'm going to give that a try. I've got to mix it up first of all. I think it's probably pretty decent at the moment. I might just need to put some thinners. I've got some of this acrylic thinner that I've had for a long time. I think it's acrylic thinner, and I'm just going to use that. So before I spray, I'm just going to fix this with a little bit of blue tack to hold it in place, hopefully, and then I've got this thing I can use to spin it around with, just like that. Should be able to spray that fairly easy now with a primer. So whilst I had the airbrush out, I decided to do a couple of the, I think, TPWS detectors that I've had in my box for a while. I thought I'd give them a bit of a prime, and on top of that I also thought I would go ahead and go over the dummy point motor covers that I got from Pico. Give them a little bit of a prime before I go off and do some additional weathering to those also. One thing also, I stopped using the blue tack. It was a lot more fiddly, and I decided just to go for masking tape folded over on itself to make like a double-sided thing, and that worked really well at holding everything down actually. Another Saturday has rocked around, and I am now going to give a shot at putting this. It's a Tamiya XF16, which means it's a flat colour. This is an aluminium. I'm going to paint everything I've got with this aluminium, and I've got my airbrush. I did have a little bit of an issue with the primer. It's left a little bit of residue in the bottom of the airbrush, but that can't, well, I guess that could be helped, but I don't think I thinned it enough, which is rather annoying. So this is what I'm planning to do using my airbrush. I've already pre-thinned this. I've watched somebody else's video. I may try to link to it in this one about now, because it was actually really interesting about brushing using retardants and various other bits and pieces. I found it a really interesting video, which I watched last night quite late into the evening. It's about 30 minutes long, but the guy basically paints a load of white spoons using brushes and airbrushes, and yeah, brilliant. It's well worth a watch. So I'm going to give it a go, and I've used his method of filling this up with thinner, or I used alcohol isopropanol. I can never say isopropanol. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a shake up, and then we'll see what it's like spraying. So I've given this a little bit of a shake, as you can see. Well, you can't see because I haven't got the lid off, but I've given it a little bit of a shake. Apparently the guy that I watched on the video recommended actually using a stirrer. Some other people don't like stirrers. I would like to have a paint shaker. I think would be quite nice. The other thing that they recommended, which I haven't got, is a stirrer, a strainer, which I saw from Everyard Junction, to strain out some of the bigger particles. I don't have any of these either. Might have to look at investing in some of those. Let's just see if we can get a little bit in, or quite a bit in, and give it a shot. I've filled up my paint pot, and I'm going to turn the compressor on. Just going to spray it on here and see what this is like, because I've got no idea. So that has come out as quite a nice metallic colour. Maybe, yes, it's come out pretty good there actually. I'm going to give that a shot now on these. I'm going to put my mask on whilst I'm doing it, because I think that's the most prudent thing to do when you're doing spraying work. Okay, masked up. Let's give this a shot. So the paint looks a little bit on the wet side. To be fair, maybe I'm putting a bit too much. I'll just adjust the nozzle for the next set, I think. But looking at it, that looks pretty good for a first attempt. So I got a load of these, which I sprayed last time as well. Sorry, I'm going to turn that off because you won't be able to hear me. So I'm going to give these a shot as well. I may just try to adjust that nozzle a touch so it's not spraying as much paint out. As you may have seen already in the video, when I'm trying to paint these, the yellow covering is just not working as well as I hoped. I think this is because of my compressor that I've got, which is an old one, and I've swapped it out. Check out the new compressor here somewhere on the video links. I'm going to give that a go, but first of all I need to mix. I'm going to use this, and again, check out the other video somewhere for the T-model paint shaker. These are pretty useful. Strap it in, and we're going to give it a bit of a shake. Saves my wrist in doing the work, if I remember to turn it on. So that's given a bit of a shake. I've got a couple of pipettes around. I've got some isopropanol, which I'm going to use as a thinner because I don't have any acrylic thinners. I've only got enamel, and I'm going to try to mix it in this bottle just here. I'm going to give this a go anyway. I'm going to pour this into my... I mean, you don't need a lot really if it's thinned down right. I could do with some more than that, but let's give this a test. Probably won't last long. Find a bit of blank paper, turn the compressor on, and we just do a bit of spraying. So the compressor is already run. Got no idea how this is going to be. Ooh. And straight away, the other thing I learned, which was really interesting whilst I was watching one of these videos, was the splatter. You might just be able to see it there. You may, is because if you don't release the air, if you sort of just let it go from back here, you can get that splatter. So a bit of air. Oh, look at that. Really, really impressed with that. So let's just get some of these. I may not have a lot of paint, and give these a quick coat and see what actually happens to them all. So I'm going to finish the video here for painting it. It's not perfect by any means, and I know exactly what my problem is with this. I obviously did the right thing. I primed it first of all with a grey. What I should have done then is, rather than spray the entire thing with the kind of the Tamiya XF16 flat aluminium colour, I should have done something different. I should have masked off this area, sprayed the bottom half, which is currently masked, with the aluminium, and then gone off and sprayed the yellow over the top of this grey primer. That would have probably helped hugely. The compressor that I have purchased in between doing this video has also made a great deal of difference. I need to really understand the differences between the PSI on the output of the airbrush and how that affects things. When I watch other people, they seem to be able to spray these paints from quite a long distance away. It could be the fact that this is an acrylic yellow by rail match. Maybe it's not thinned enough, it's too thick, I don't know, but I'm going to have to go over these again. So anyway, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed the mistakes that I've made and the corrections and all the other stuff. And if you have, and you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button. If you are a subscriber or whatever, then hit the like as also, because that helps me with my YouTube analytics and promotes this channel more. And if you are a subscriber and haven't already, or going to be a new subscriber, don't forget to hit the notification bell, because you'll be notified whenever I post new material. Again, thanks so much for watching. Leave any comments, any suggestions, any helpful ideas about how to run air compressors and air brushes correctly. I understand it's all down to the paint and the mix and the temperature and everything, so maybe there's not a golden rule. Anyway, thanks so much. See you again soon. Bye for now.